Welcome back. It's another message today from your boy, hashtag Darius Wright, the natural healer. Today we're going to have to venture away from our usual talk of health and wellness, our discussion of health and wellness. Today the subject is about the mass self-hatred that was forced upon black African slaves, and then the free or so-called free blacks, the descendants of slaves. So the mentalities that blacks have today are not in reality the way that blacks think. It's the way that they've been forced to think. Since the times of slavery, blacks have been subjected to generations of genocide, torture, propaganda, lies, misinformation, and mentalities based on the notion of white supremacy. Therefore, the average black American today, and in reality the blacks in Africa and elsewhere in the diaspora, believe in the notion of white supremacy, regardless of what they say. Blacks have long loved their oppressors since being brought here as slaves. More than that, they love their oppressors more than themselves and their loved ones, and that's a terrible thing. But that is from the constant conditioning and programming. The only image that blacks truly have of the supreme being is of a white man. Jesus is a white man, and God is a white man in the minds of the average black. No matter what they say, they may even perpetrate to themselves that they believe that God is black or whatever, but in reality, the average black person of African descent believes that the supreme being or the supreme beings are whites. Just the black man looks upon the white man as God and the ultimate and only authority. Right now today, blacks still live under the mass hypnosis, with brother wanting to kill brother over which slave master will dominate their lives for the next 4 years. Right now, blacks and whites are at each other's throats. But in the black community, 80% of the people are brainwashed totally by the Democratic Party. The other percentages have different mentalities and thoughts. Ice Cube has tried to make some moves with the current administration, because in reality, it doesn't matter which slave master that we get some positive growth from. For the last 500 years, and for whatever years we've been voting, we've gotten little to nothing. They haven't done nothing, as Stevie Wonder once said. So we have to understand that. We have to understand that everything that they do are things designed to manipulate the people. So in black society, we've recently seen more hatred. It's common. It's been happening for forever since we've been here in America. I can't talk about Africa because we haven't been told of our history in Africa. Most of us don't even know where we come from, to be honest. But for recently, we've seen more hatred for those blacks. These happen to be successful blacks who have spoken up for the lives of blacks, or who have lived lives in a manner that's conducive to success and promote their positive lives in a manner that is conducive to helping the lives of blacks. Right now, two of the main people in the eyes and minds of the people are LeBron James and Ice Cube. Those two brothers are among the numerous black men throughout American history that have been hated by their own kind, simply for them speaking out against the tyranny, prejudice, and hatred against their own people. They've also spoken against the ignorance of their own people and the submissiveness of blacks, the gullibility of blacks to those who have done little to benefit the lives of blacks, but talk a lot. The Democrats and the Republicans talk about what they've done, but in reality, if you go to the ghetto has gotten progressively worse since the 60s. So I want those brothers to feel no shame for the ignorance of our people and how they always have negativity and animosity to say against those who don't have to, but have chosen to speak up and spend time and money for black causes. Bill Cosby is one of the greatest black American men in history. He's given millions to black causes. He's done so many things for civil rights causes, marches, giving out money, activism, whatever you want to talk about. And as soon as he had some trouble, some very serious trouble, blacks immediately abandoned him. The majority, not every single one. And that's just the way it is for blacks. And that wasn't even what made blacks abandon him. What made blacks abandon him was when he spoke up and spoke out against the ghetto mentality that is accepted totally now in the black community. But in those times, it was less acceptable, much less acceptable. But now with reality TV shows and what have you, it's highly acceptable. It's people believe that's the way blacks are supposed to act. The times of Cosby and whatever those other shows were, Living Single, or that other show that was a shoot off of Cosby, those are no more. Now it's pure ignorance, pure ghetto, pure country hicks, whether they're from New York City or Birmingham, Alabama. In every case, those who hate against the people who try to speak up for the black community, who don't have to, because they have the finances to move to wherever part of the world they want to and never see another American face again. But they choose to because of their love for their people. Now, in every case, it's always the folks who know nothing. They do nothing but talk and gossip. And they ain't got a goddamn thing. And that's the big, major problem. All of these people who always speak up against those who are taking out their time and effort to try to make a better existence for the blacks who have been suffering for 400 to 500 years here in America, they speak against those the people who don't have anything, who don't care about anything, who don't know anything, constantly speak against those who know, or who attempt to make a difference in the lives of blacks. So we need to know that this is something that's always been happening in the black community. Every time throughout history, since the times of slavery, they were the slave that wanted that always wanted to escape, that was always talking bad about the master. The majority of slaves always were telling on that kind of a person, that type of slave that always wanted to escape and rebel. The other slaves always thought that type of slave was a fool, that he was going to make trouble for them. So it's the same mentality today. So, of course, the brainwashed and programmed blacks today have zero interest in doing anything right or positive. So they try to cancel out, that's what they call it these days, cancel out anyone who dares to suggest to blacks that they live in the proper manners, that they not be hypnotized by one particular party or the other, for them to work together as brothers and sisters. Those people are hated and vilified. They're clowned, they're chastised, they're whatever word you want to use, but they're hated within their own communities. It doesn't matter if it was Ice Cube. Ice Cube was purely loved within the black community until he started talking against the slave masters. Once he started talking against the majority's white slave master, Joe Biden, or he wasn't even really talking against them, he was talking against the whole system, not talking against one particular person, then the majority of blacks became, or Ice Cube became an enemy to the majority of blacks, and that's outrageous. So, and it's been the same, like I said, it's been the same. They hated Marcus Garvey. They hated Minister Malcolm. They grew to hate Dr. King, and many, many names in between. So to this very day, we really have no black leaders we have no leaders in the black community. A lot of people say, how come rappers, which Ice Cube is not a rapper, Ice Cube is a businessman and media mogul at this point in his life, but he started out as a rapper. But they believe that people who who have memorized book knowledge, or preachers, or corrupt politicians, because they're all corrupt, they all lie, they're all tricksters, they're all actors that dramatize politics for the gullible. They want those types of people as spokesmen for the people. They are the same as the white slave masters, the white oppressors. So they're no different. People believe because Obama was the first black president that meant something. It sort of meant something, but in reality, Obama was no different than the whites. He did a few trivial things that were slightly different than what whites had done, but in reality, blacks went nowhere, probably went backwards. So we have to understand that. Blacks have always hated. They hated Marcus Garvey, they hated him. They hated Minister Malcolm. They hated many of the other black militants during the times of their lives. Later on, after their deaths, after they were murdered or totally destroyed, then the blacks who knew nothing of the reality of what those people did then began to embrace them, just like what they did with Dr. Sebi and all the other people who they clowned and ridiculed when they were alive. They had no respect for most of those people. Dr. King was the only one, because Dr. King was groomed and promoted by the fake news media during his time, and he was the acceptable Negro. But then once he realized that he was being used, then Dr. King became an enemy of the establishment. They then began to spin stories and make him into someone that blacks began to look at and not care about and not like in many different ways. So, you know, the black community and everyone who has made any attempt to do anything have been virtually lynched by black society. Of course, the white society lynched them also, but blacks make it their main interest in life to down people that have attained success in their lives. Black people, they love the whites. It doesn't matter, but many blacks get a charge out of a successful black being destroyed, and that makes no sense. Many blacks just don't have a clue of any history of our black existence here in America, and definitely nothing before that. And many don't even give a damn. They don't care about any of the history. We have so much history just here in America alone. Most have zero clue of it, and they don't even care. So some say, and as I was saying, they were talking about that we don't need people who are in entertainment and sports to speak up, but they're the ones who, throughout history, who have been some of the main spokesmen. First of all, Muhammad Ali, Bill Russell, Lou Alcindor, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and others have been some of the main spokesmen for blacks. Jackie Robinson. So that is illogical in the beginning. Just because they are blessed with athletic ability has no bearing on their ability to speak, lead, or what have you, as it's been shown. So people want to believe that some old man who read some books that he memorized is going to be more capable than someone who knows life from the experience level. And that makes no sense. So, the brother Ice Cube made some bold, intangible moves that perhaps can make a difference. Probably won't. But at least he made the attempt. At least others can see what he tried to do. Others can stop being so brainwashed by one particular party. They're both parties of the same bird. That one side is the left, one side is the right. They're all part of the same shitstorm. And it's shit. So, it's better than the lies and nothing that the politicians, the preachers, and the other phonies in society do. All they do is talk and manipulate and double talk, and blacks end up with nothing but the shaft. So I wanted to say, before I go too far, a quote from Minister Malcolm. And it's very important to think about. For brothers like Ice Cube, LeBron James, you brothers and sisters and out here that are trying to wake up the people from the stupor. One of the main things you have to keep in your mind, no matter how much ignorance you're exposed to, no matter how much ignorance that the people, that the majority, the masses accept and embrace, you have to understand that the problem with being pro-black is if you're not careful with the ignorance of our kind, of our people, you'll end up hating your own kind. So keep that in mind. If we are not careful, because the ignorance is not born ignorance. It's learned ignorance. It's forced ignorance. Regardless if the people realize it or not. That's just the reality. It's forced ignorance. It's been forced upon our people. There's no way around it. I mean, everything that they give to the people dictates that it will end up in a negative condition for the people. Everything from the food, the medicines, the environment, the devices, everything that they give to the people results in negativity, especially the black people. But the poor, in general, they are just used and manipulated and by the establishment. Blacks, the other thing is, blacks today, and yes, blacks today are very aggravating people. The majority have long been such people, to be honest. That's from the brainwashing. That's from not being able to. There's laws have been made that have blacks even attempted to act intelligent, that you could have gone up to being lynched. Nothing has been worse in American society than uppity Negro. A Negro that thought he was as good as whites, or that he was on an equal playing field with whites. So to act ignorant was to be able to survive in America. So many people began to embrace ignorance. Blacks were some of the greatest scholars and business people in this nation, but it's all been destroyed from propaganda, forced programming, and other such things. So blacks look only at the words of their oppressor of the oppressor, the establishment, as acceptable and truth. They look only at the words of the oppressors of the establishment as the words of truth. Whatever blacks say, in the minds of blacks, are just the ravings of a big mouth nigger. That's the reality. That nigga knows nothing. Why is he talking? He's nobody. Where's his degree? He's nobody. I don't care how many years he's been alive. He doesn't know more than this politician, this preacher, these people who've been out here shamming the people for decades, manipulating and profiting from the gullibility of the people. They're the ones who know something, not this guy. Who cares about this black man who doesn't even have a suit on? Oh, he's out there with his arms showing out. What does he know? And so that's the mentality. They look at someone like me and what did he just get out of the penitentiary? What is going on here? We don't listen to people like him, because they are only interested in the dramatization of truth. You have to look the part, and you have to have the gift of gab. But whatever you say, it doesn't matter if it's true. It's probably not going to be true. The people are going to believe it because they are interested in the dramatization of truth and not the truth. So this is the conundrum. This is the problem for blacks trying to create betterment for blacks. Whatever you do, they're not going to listen to you. They're not going to want to believe you. You're not the people. You don't have the paperwork that says you're smart. You just talk smart. And we don't believe you because you don't have the paperwork that says you're smart. Or the suit. Why don't you have a suit on? So these things are part of the problem, part of the conundrum. So, and the biggest haters of blacks trying to make a difference for blacks are blacks. The biggest detractors for blacks trying to make a difference for blacks are blacks. And of course the establishment. The establishment they are just as desperate to keep down the society, because chaos benefits the establishment. I'm a perfect example. My life has been dedicated to the betterment of blacks for decades. I've supported black businesses. I've started nonprofit organizations. I've worked with the homeless, alcohol and drug addicted people, the youth, whatever. I've tried everything. Tried to promote health for years and years. And I couldn't be more hated today than a Ku Klux Klansman. The more I try to promote health and wellness, betterment to blacks, the more I'm hated. And really in my life, that's never occurred. In any time of my life, I've always been embraced for my higher intelligence. But today of the internet, where people can't see you, they can't feel you, they can't feel your vibe through a TV screen or what do you call it, a phone screen. So it makes it more difficult, much more difficult. And like I said, today I'm more hated by petty internet blacks and have far more white friends and supporters. That's crazy to say. Not that the color of the people matter, but I'm speaking out for black values, black lives. Yet I'm hated by blacks. And when I speak on black subjects, the whites are the ones who mainly agree with what I'm saying. And the intelligent blacks, of course. So the thing that's more, I've been a black militant since I was about 10 years old. So for these people today who are really agents of their oppressors, it really angers me for them to say or to even think that what they do is comparable to what people like me do. They are mindless followers. They're perfect slaves. They follow and do as they're told. They put masks on. They lay in houses, afraid of the world. Oh my God. Afraid of the world, afraid of existence, because they were told to by their oppressors, by those who profit from their demise. So, and that's the same thing with everyone. It's not just blacks, but blacks get the shortest end of the stick. It's everybody. But wow, these flies are getting on, biting me out here in the natural environment. That's the only place for hashtag Darius Wright, the natural healer, is in the natural environment. But it angers me as a black militant for anyone to question my drive, my focus, my commitment to the lives of our people. It really angers me. It makes me want to do violence, to be honest. But I don't get involved in that anymore. So those blacks who have tried to make a difference, most of the people don't give a damn about those people. In fact, they wish harm upon the individual and even that person's loved ones if they don't speak the propaganda that the majority have been brainwashed to believe. The mentality of blacks today has been decimated by the fake news media, by computer games, by the internet, and by vaccines, by chemical medications, by unnatural foods, and so many things that are detrimental to the health and lives of all people in American society. But because there's a disproportionate amount of poor and uneducated blacks, then they suffer even greater. So I like to put it out here. Someone get it out there to the brother Ice Cube. Get it out there to LeBron James. Get with me. Get with brothers like me who are there for you. To work with you to make a difference for the lives of blacks. You have to understand that you're going to be hated by the majority of blacks, but don't let that bother you. Don't let that bother you. That doesn't bother me in the slightest. I've long been hated because I've never been a follower. I've always been someone who who went against what the majority was for. So I've never been liked, really. I mean, I mean, to be honest, they've never been overjoyed with a person like me. My family doesn't like me, my friends don't like me, and I don't give a damn, because the truth is the only thing that matters to me. What's right is the only thing that matters to me. I don't care about the relationships. If I lose the relationships because I spoke the truth, to hell with those people. So, this is your man, hashtag Darius Wright, the Natural Healer. I hope this medium length talk was beneficial for you all out there. We got to understand, we got to wake up. There's no particular party. I'm against both parties. Fuck the government, I say. You know, the reality is the government is a government of the people. Why are people worshiping politicians? The politicians should be worshiping the people. The people are this country. But people don't want to believe. They don't want to believe they have the power. They want to believe the few have the power. They want to give the few the power. In life and in this society, it's the weak people, the ignorant people, the submissive people who give charlatans their power. So we can't give them the power over us. Why are we giving them the power over us? That's not right. And that's only resulting in disaster. Look at the state of America today. It's a nightmare. There's nothing to be happy about. But people are so brainwashed and so delusional that they're walking around like it's okay with a mask on in the burning up sun. Can't enjoy life anymore because of the establishment, because of the manipulations of the fake news media, politicians, and they all profit from the demise of the people. It's time for the people to wake up. Let's go.